So Gary,
All right, here we go, right? Now you can start 3, 2, 1.
welcome to the Business Connector Show, Gary. Thank you so much for making time from your busy schedule to be here.
My pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, so Gary, for all of our audience viewers, Gary is a LinkedIn coach. He's a LinkedIn specialist. Now, for everyone out there, explain what the difference is between a LinkedIn coach, what you do,
Right.
versus a social media specialist who does the postings and creates the content
Sure.
and the pages.
Well, I don't try to be an expert in all the different aspects of social media. As you said, I specialize in LinkedIn, and I even specialize compared to other LinkedIn coaches. Many of them will optimize a profile, but they are a little bit light on the strategic part of how you use your profile once you have it optimized. So I'm really calling myself a LinkedIn strategist these days.
So what is the strategy behind, not to give away all your trade secrets, but
Right.
what is the, concept of the strategy behind LinkedIn?
Well, every day I hear from professionals that I'm on there, but I'm not doing anything with it, or I really don't use it. So, that's what's lacking is the strategy part of it. And part of that is that they don't quite understand the platform. And the platform has evolved tremendously over the 12 years that it's existed. And now it's not so much a job-finding platform, but it's a very dynamic way to establish yourself as an authority in your field and really grow your business dramatically.
Yeah, it really is a great platform. I have a lot of clients that use LinkedIn.
Yes.
Before we get a little deeper into LinkedIn and the usages, how did you get started in this niche? Because it's such a novel area and it's so specific that I'm curious how you kind of fell into it.
Well, I had a point where I wanted to leave the corporate world, and I saw an exit way, and so I ran towards that exit way. And I wanted to build, initially, a real estate business, and I found that the platform that made the most sense to me was LinkedIn. Because even 5 years ago, it was still a platform where it was mostly professionals. It had a wealthier clientele, if you will. And so I began using the platform to find investors, cash buyers that would buy property from me, because I'm a realtor as well. So I was a user initially, and then after a few years, I became a coach because I found many professionals, as we mentioned, are on there, but they're not using it well, or they're using it ineffectively.
Right. So what do you think has been the popularity of LinkedIn?
Well, it's just about connections. And so as you grow connections, the platform has grown. It's changed dramatically. It's now a lot more open to visual graphics and video. So in the past 2 years, it's become a lot more dynamic. Not so boring as it was initially where people would post a resume.
Tell me, what type of industries use LinkedIn? All industries, all of your customers are suited for LinkedIn?
Virtually all of them. I have a wide variety of industries that I interact with. So some of my recent clients have been realtors, lawyers. I worked with a thermographist, a body scan person last week. I'm speaking tonight to wedding planners, that's tomorrow night, wedding planner associates. So, there's a wide range of people, and it's the platform to be on for credibility and to make yourself known.
Very interesting. Who would you say your perfect prospect is?
My perfect prospect? Well, that's a good question because I have a very big funnel.
Right.
But I like to work with people that already have some understanding about why they should be on LinkedIn. So a lot of what I do is educating people about why it's a good platform for any professional to be on. But if people already know that, it's a lot easier to take them pretty deep into the project.
I would think that the people who don't really know about LinkedIn are kind of a little timid to get started, timid to get their postings out there.
Sure.
And maybe a little bit, I don't want to say shy, but maybe a little bit intimidated by asking, by asking a LinkedIn specialist. And I would also think that there are companies that might already be on there that already have the background and feel that they've got it. They know exactly what to do on LinkedIn.
Right.
So how do you speak to each end? How do you speak to each one to have them understand the value of what you do?
Well, I start with my profile, and my profile is, very well optimized. I'm told it's one of the better ones that a lot of people have seen, and so just by comparing my profile with theirs, there's an obvious connection that way. But many people are intimidated just by social media in general. There's so much of it out there, and people are confused about what's effective, what's not effective, how much should I post, all these questions. And so what I do a lot of is just educating. So I do lunch and learn seminars, and I speak in groups and offer a lot of information about how LinkedIn has grown, why it's important to be on there, and how they can maximize it as a platform for their benefit.
Speak to the profile. What is the most important thing that a person should have on their profile?
A professional picture.
A professional picture.
Yeah.
What if
that's the first thing that people see, right?
Is your professional picture? What if you don't have a professional picture up there? What happens?
You need to get one. Otherwise, you're lost. It's the same with the basic membership on LinkedIn. They say that you're only being seen by 0.5% of your network. So if you don't have a picture, the odds are even worse for you. But I would say 10% of the people on LinkedIn don't have a photo.
Wow,
Yeah.
That's a big percent.
Yeah.
10% of
That's
the
a market
people
for me right there.
Right, maybe
Okay.
10% of the people missing out on opportunities.
Exactly.
There's a circle that shows how much of your profile is being optimized on LinkedIn.
Right.
I know a little bit about LinkedIn. I don't profess to know nearly as much as you do, Gary.
You're pretty good.
So there's that circle and shows
Yes.
how much of your profile is maximized.
Yeah.
Some people have it just hovering right below that 100% line.
Yeah.
How do you push it over the edge? Is that a tip and secret? What is it that gets it?
Well, if you're an
right to
all-star,
that?
that's as high as you can go, and there is a little bit of that circle that isn't filled in.
Right.
So you're probably there to the max, but that's LinkedIn's evaluation of your profile. I go far beyond what LinkedIn considers to be an optimized profile. So many people, think they've got it, but there's always more to learn, and the platform's changing all the time.
So it sounds to me like LinkedIn itself gives the basics and you kind of bat it home.
That's a good analogy. Yeah.
Wow.
Awesome.
Nice. So
This looks like a hard question.
No. So, LinkedIn is underutilized in many ways.
Yes.
And I think sometimes when we identify a problem, that's when we can first start to identify a solution.
Absolutely.
So, can you tell me the ways that you've seen LinkedIn underutilized?
Well, we can start with the headline, which is the main line on your profile. Many professionals, I would say 90%, underutilize that space. So this is key real estate on your LinkedIn profile. You can have up to 120 characters utilized there, so you can talk about your benefits right off the bat instead of talking about, as most do, either their title or their position, which is already evaluated and explained in the profile. So it's a little bit redundant use of that, and it's not maximized in terms of the characters that are available. That's a couple secrets that I have.
Do you have to keep the SEO terminology fresh in those spaces? Is it
It's good to keep evolving your profile and to add keywords. As I mentioned, I transitioned from being a realtor on LinkedIn to being a coach to being a strategist. So my profile is evolving all the time, and I'm adding new media, new graphics, and it keeps you in front of your audience as well when you make those changes.
Do you recommend people joining groups?
Oh, yes, absolutely. You can join up to 50 groups.
It's a lot of groups.
It's a lot of groups, but even a bigger number is the 2 million groups that LinkedIn has, and
Wow.
every week there's 8,000 newer groups. So the selection process is interesting alone, but you want to be in the groups where your target market is. And again, this goes back to some basics. Many professionals don't know what their target market is, or they don't have it well defined. So if you're failing on that initial point, then you're swinging a lot into the air trying to hit that home run when you can get base hits just by joining the right groups.
I think you just hit a home run when you said that many businesses don't know who their target market is, because that's why we created the Business Connector show.
Fantastic. Okay, well, it's true.
Yeah.
Mhm.
As far as the groups go,
Yes. Well, let me talk
I-
about the groups, because the groups are probably the best way of reaching a large market, expanding your audience, if you will. One of my taglines is, grow your business beyond belief. So through groups, for example, I've joined the 50 groups that I'm allowed, and my audience potential from the total of all those members is over 5 million people. So when I post in those groups, a very large number of people are potentially seeing and being able to engage with me in discussions about whatever I'm posting. So that's tremendous reach.
Tell me the difference between an individual page and a company page, because I know that for me, a lot of my clients have individual pages, yet
Right.
not company pages.
Right.
It depends. Sometimes a client will have a company page and they don't necessarily really want to work their individual page. Can you speak
Right.
to that?
Yes, a company page is, to me, it's an add-on. It gives people more of the data about the company, how many employees, where it's located, that sort of thing. I think this is an area that's going to be developed by LinkedIn in the future because people will then be able to post to their company page as well as their individual page. But right now, I would encourage everybody to focus on developing and maximizing their individual page and use the keywords to be found there. And then there's plenty of references to the company from that point. And then if they want those kind of specifics, they can go there. But, you know, they first have to have an interest, and you have to develop that by optimizing your profile and making it interesting and intriguing.
How do you make your posts interesting and intriguing? Speak to me about content.
Well, content is very important, and LinkedIn is the only platform that allows you to essentially place a blog on that platform. So it becomes a permanent part of your profile, and for example, I have 13 posts that are my blog posts on my profile, and it helps to establish you as an expert or at least a thought leader in your field. So when people see your posts, they can share your post, and other people obviously then can get to know about you through those sharing opportunities. But you know, it really establishes you as an author and an expert, and you know that's vitally important, because how else are you going to stand out in a platform where there's 350 million other people?
Right. Tell me the difference between posting on your individual page versus posting in a group.
They're quite different. On your individual page and on the news feed, you want things of interest that are topical, that offer value in a short and concise way to the people that are already in your network. So you're adding value to your network. In terms of a group, you're more involved in prospecting, because you're starting discussions about topics that are already confined within a certain topic area. So you're joining groups that are very specific in terms of, say, marketing, and maybe a certain type of marketing, like content marketing group. So you want to add content that's specific to that group, that's of interest, and you want to create, ultimately you want to create relationships and new members, new connections through the sharing of your content, and have really a conversation with those members.
Do you work with social media specialists who actually create and post content?
I've just started working with a virtual assistant that's posting quotes for me.
Nice.
My strategy right now is to build up my Twitter following, but I'm also using some of those posts on LinkedIn as well. But yeah, there's so much to do, and if you try to do it all, you're going to be swamped and
Right.
swimming in the ocean,
Yeah,
right?
Swimming. What about social media companies where you can go in and coach them? Because let's face it, everybody's, a LinkedIn specialist.
Sure.
If they do their posts for a company,
Right.
then they think that they already have it. I guess what I'm addressing here is their level of expertise, that really everyone needs a coach.
Right.
Like even a business coach needs a coach.
Sure.
So speaking to that point, I'm just curious if you've worked with social media companies where you go in and basically explain to them how to help with the connections. A lot of social media companies will also create the post, but may not necessarily know how to connect and network people per se.
Yeah, I partner with quite a few of those kinds of groups. I train some of the people that do the posting for them, for example, show them some of the secrets about getting your posts seen and how to create a post that's useful and post it, when you post on LinkedIn, you can also post on Twitter at the same time. So there's a knack and a trick to doing that effectively. So yeah, I like to partner with social media companies because, I have a hard time just keeping up with LinkedIn's changes. So a social media company that's trying to do it all is definitely not going to be an expert in each piece.
That's a great point, Gary.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about, tell me about the most interesting client that you helped to highlight their profile on LinkedIn.
Well, I'll tell you kind of a surprising call that I got last week, and I'm working with this person this afternoon. I got a direct call from an attorney in Norway, and they found me on LinkedIn. I had no connection with them before, and they called me out of their research. The market's different now. The customer or the consumer is much more educated before they ever contact you. So I'm excited to be working via Skype with this attorney this afternoon.
That is networking LinkedIn at its finest. I love that story.
Grow your business beyond belief, right?
Grow your business beyond the USA.
There you go.
Right? Gary, tell me what might differentiate you from other LinkedIn coaches.
I alluded to it a little bit earlier, but I started out coaching and optimizing profiles, and there's a lot to that. So I typically spend a 90-minute session with people, and I used to emphasize the optimization. Well, it's important, but it's really only the beginning. And most people want to skip that part and go to the connecting, right? But when you start connecting, people are going to look at the profile. So if it's not fully optimized, then you've already lost some of your buzz, or some of the excitement. So I drag people through the process of optimizing the profile so that's impressive and unique and engaging. And then we talk about growing the market, growing their connections, and then this whole piece about being established as an expert and an authority in their field. And many don't go that level into the strategy part of it, as I was talking about, but they're all three critically important to be successful.
How many hours a day, how long each day should somebody be spending working LinkedIn?
Once you have your profile optimized, and after you've worked with a coach, because you'll save years of time doing so, but 30 minutes is what I suggest. And that is 10 minutes going through your mail, 10 minutes going through the news feed of all the different things that your network is sharing, and then another 10 minutes in the groups. So it's certainly a manageable strategy, and there's also templates that can be used to save, a lot of typing of duplicate typing. But a 30-minute management program can, help you expand your network dramatically.
So half an hour a day, and somebody can be an expert on LinkedIn with some help and wisdom from you.
Well, they'll certainly have more opportunities, and that's what it's all about.
Anything else you want to share with us today?
I'm just having fun. I'm seeing opportunities all over the place. I mean, wedding planners, I'm talking to them tomorrow night. And last week I talked with students at Kaiser University about using LinkedIn for their job search. And so even with the dramatic growth that LinkedIn's had over the past 12 years, it's still only about 10% of what its intended size is. So,
wow.
So the opportunity is amazing.
So much room for growth on LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Website.
So if someone wanted to find you, to get more information, how could they contact you?
Very simply, my phone number is 561-716-4359. That's what the guy in Norway used, right? And my LinkedIn profile is primarily where I would direct them, because I have all of my 110 recommendations there, all of my articles are there, and I don't use a website. I direct everything through my LinkedIn profile.
That's great.
That's Gary Kissel, Kissel.
Gary Kissel. So I'd like to get 100 recommendations on my LinkedIn.
You can do it.
You're the expert to show me how.
I'd be happy to.
It was great having you here in the studio today with us. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Good luck.
Thank you.